Let's bring in Donna Rotunno, criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor. Alexis mentioned them, but let's put them up on the screen here, Donna. These are the charges that Emir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi are facing. Conspiracy to provide material support and resources to a foreign terrorist organization, provision and attempted provision of material support and resources to an FTO, conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction, carrying of explosives during the commission of a felony, transportation of explosive materials, and that is across state lines as well, interstate transportation, receipt of explosives, unlawful possession of destructive devices. They could have the book absolutely thrown at them. They could spend a long time behind bars.
No question, John. Absolutely. Those charges are staggering. And under the federal sentencing guidelines, they're looking at spending decades upon decades, if not life, depending on certain enhancements. So these are extremely serious charges. And thankfully, this wasn't as serious as intended. Had this gone the way they were hoping, John, we would have had mass casualties out there that day.
I mean, thankfully, there's screw-ups when it comes to bomb building. It's only by the grace of God that they were, because they talked about the Boston Marathon bombing and the fact that it didn't kill as many people as they wanted to kill. This is what is said in the indictment here. Balat predicted that they were going to kill up to 60 people. He had wanted the attack to be even bigger than the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. I mean, the malicious intent here is just, it's disgusting.
Yeah, and we all know how horrific that Boston bombing situation was at the marathon, and the number of people that were not only killed, John, but that were actually injured, and for a very long period of time, losing limbs. And I mean, it was a terrible situation. And the fact that the intention here was to go out and make this worse, and to talk about it on this dash cam in a giddy and excited way, it just really shows pure depravity.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because it goes to the question of admissibility, because here's what was caught on the dash cam. One of the perpetrators allegedly said, "All I know is I want to start terror, bro. I want to petrify these people." And then at a police precinct that they were taken to, Balat asked for a piece of paper and wrote on it, "Die in rage, you kuffar," which means non-believer. Is that admissible in a court of law?
It is, John, as long as that dash cam was obtained lawfully and it was obtained search incident to arrest or through some search warrant, depending on the circumstances. They obviously were not arrested in that vehicle, but that vehicle must have been traced to one of them, or they saw on video the fact that they were getting in and out of that car, which would then give you probable cause to take that car in and inventory it. So yes, as long as that video was taken properly and they obtained it properly, then yes, that would be admissible. Those are statements made by defendants in a criminal case. So yes, it would be. As far as that note that was written while in police custody, as long as he was given his rights, then yes, that would be admissible. And honestly, anything that he decided to write down and left in proximity of police, I think would be admissible too, even if that was done prior to acknowledgement that he did want a lawyer or was willing to talk.
You know, I remember when I worked in Miami a couple of decades ago, there was a television station that did Stupid Criminal of the Week. and they would, you know, have somebody try to rob a liquor store by getting stuck in the air vent or whatever. I mean, when you take a look at what these guys said after they were in police custody, voluntarily, without the presence of a lawyer, I mean, they would win the prize for Stupid Criminal of the Week.
Yeah, you're right, John. And you know what? I think sometimes people want to get caught. I think they want to put out there what they wanted to do. I mean, you don't talk in your car knowing that you have a camera that's recording you. You don't make notes about what you're intending to do and then leave them for police to find. You don't go to a location and do this where you know everything you're doing is on video, where there's hundreds of people outside. So I think sometimes people want to get caught. I think if you're working for ISIS, this is a bigger ideological crime than it is just two people wanting to see if they can get away with it. So I think this is a situation where they wanted this to happen the way that it did, and thankfully it wasn't a lot worse.
All right, well, we look forward to that hearing in Manhattan Federal Court. Alexis McAdams is on the scene. She'll get the latest for us. Donna, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course, John.
All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.